Neymar is getting out of Al-Hilal. This weekend a couple news started coming out and I thought it was a good reason to make a video about Neymar. So I must say, even though I criticize him sometimes, I'm still a big fan of him. I really like his style of play, even though that he hasn't been playing that much. I like, and I thought honestly it was a tragedy when he signed with Al-Hilal because he was so young and he had so many potential. And it would be very hard for him to go back to a top team after it. And it turns out I wasn't that wrong. That's what we're gonna talk about on this video. But before that, my name is Victor and I make videos about football and anything football related. So news, games, anything. If you like football and you want to be entertained a little bit, don't forget to follow me, turn on the notifications, and leave that comment. Everything that you already know to do. So going back to the main topic of the video, Neymar transfer. So for those who don't know, Neymar has a 6-month contract remaining on his Al-Hilal contract, and hasn't been playing a lot. He played 42 minutes last year entirely, mainly due to an injury on, I believe it was an injury on his ACL, but I'm not completely sure about it. But 42 minutes is not a lot. A lot of people were hoping that by the middle of last year, he was going to return. So that was the beginning of the season. And he didn't. He tried and he got hurt again. So that's why the 42 minutes the whole year. So now with the mid-season transfer window, Al-Hilal is even considering if they should sign him for the Saudi league because, well, they don't know if he's going to be able to play it. We had Jorge Jesus, which is the current coach of Al-Hilal, saying that he cannot even keep up with the players during practice. And for me, that's just really sad. For South Americans that go to play to Europe, they know that's a very competitive market. It's really hard to get in on the first place. Once you get in, if you get out, you normally don't come back. We don't normally see anyone go back to playing on top teams after they go to these I would say second tier leagues, and I'll even put the Brazilian league as a second tier. I don't expect Memphis Depay to go back from the Brazilian league to a top team in Europe. I think the only time that ever happened in history, I think it was with Ibrahimovic. After he played a season on MLS, he went back, played for AC Milan and won. But that's not the rule of thumb. So personally, I think the bad decision started when he accepted going to PSG, even though that I completely understand the reasons for it. He wanted to be the guy of the team. He didn't want to be on the shadow of someone. And even though that we all love the MSN trio, there's no denial that when Neymar was in Barcelona, he was living on Messi's shadow. 2015 was probably his best season. He wanted to win the Ballon d'Or that year, but he didn't play as good as Messi. And I even dare to say that even if he did, if he played close with Messi, he wouldn't win the Ballon d'Or with Messi because Messi's Messi. So after that historical match of the 6-1, I believe it was, against PSG, that Barcelona won and classified them for the next stage of the Champions League that year. When the next day the name of the match was Messi, even though that there's no doubt about that Neymar was the name of the match, all the newspapers showed a picture of Messi, and that's where everything started to him to move to PSG. In PSG, I think we all know that PSG is just bizarre, the amount of money that they put on that club that cannot win a Champions League. I think Neymar played really well, but the fact that he didn't conquer things while he was playing there, and when I say conquer things, I'm not including the Ligue 1 or the French Cup because there is no other competition in France for PSG. I think people expected him to conquer a lot more meaningful titles, more Champions League, even more presence on the national team. But even on the national team, Neymar had serious injuries and I would say even some bad luck. In the 2014 World Cup, he gets the really hard entry by Zuniga from Colombia, I think, and he gets really bad injury, cannot play the rest of the World Cup. Brazil is eliminated in the next match against Germany. 2018 World Cup against Russia, I think it was a little bit of the team not playing well, and I also think the referees had an impact on the match. There was a clear penalty that wasn't called for Brazil against on the 2-1 loss against Belgium on the quarterfinals, if I'm not wrong. And on the 2022 World Cup, We all know what happened. Brazil went to penalties against Croatia, all because of a tactical mistake. In the last 4 minutes of the extra time, Brazil had 7 men on the attack when they were already up by 1 goal. All they had to do was hold the match for another 4 minutes and they would be on the semifinals, but they didn't. It took a goal, they went to penalties and they lost. Unfortunately, it happens. But when we're talking about professional athletes and special football, where you only have, I don't know, maybe 4 to 5 World Cups on your career, one unfortunate event is already a lot. Can you imagine 3, 4? So the truth is that Neymar probably has one more World Cup on his career, which is the one coming up, 2026, and he's not ready to play it. If let's face it, if the World Cup would happen in 2025, Neymar probably wouldn't be on the team. And it's not because of his talent, because he has enough talent to be on it, but he's not playing. Neymar has not played for the last year. How can a professional athlete be ready to play a competition at that level when he doesn't play? And why am I saying all that? Neymar has mainly 2 offers that's on the media that we know about. The first offer being from Chicago Fire, from the MLS. I can see him going to the MLS at some point to be able to play with Messi and Suarez one more time. So it makes sense him wanting to go there. But in order to prepare him for a World Cup, I don't think that's where he should go. The second offer that he has on the table is to go back to Santos, the club that made him who he is. With Santos, Neymar won the equivalent of the Champions League for South America, the Copa Libertadores, and it was the first time that Santos had won the Libertadores since Pelé. So there's no denial that there's some emotional attachment between Neymar and Santos. And different than the MLS, the Brazilian league is a lot more harsh. It's a lot more competitive. It has a lot more games. One thing that we saw recently on the news is the players in Europe complaining about the number of games they play in the year. For example, Champions League, they just added 2 more games on the group phase. If you don't classify to the playoffs right away, you're gonna play even more games. I think it's an extra game or an extra 2 game. I think it's 1. But anyway, so you're talking about adding 3 extra games on the season, on top of what the players were already complaining that they were playing. The truth is, European players have no idea of what is a large amount of games. Yes, they play a lot, but nowhere close enough to Brazilians, for example. For you guys have an idea, there was a research release not too long ago about the clubs that play the most games. In the top 21st, 20 teams are the Brazilian ones, and are the 20 ones that are on the first division of the Brazilian league. If I'm not mistaken, we had the top 19, then the 20th place was Panathinaikos from Greece, and then 21st was the other Brazilian one. And the reason for that is because Brazilians play an additional competition that's on the state level, state or province, depending on your country, in the beginning of the year, works almost as a preseason. But to summarize it, basically Brazilian teams play around 80 to 60 matches a year, if I'm not wrong. So that's good for him. That's good for Neymar, because having all those games, it would give him time to play. Now, would he be able to play in the starting 11 all those games? No, of course not. Does the Brazilian league has the same competition as Europe? No, I would say the Brazilian competition is higher. The reason why I say that is because there is a bigger number of Brazilian teams that are able to win a tournament. I think maybe the Premier League could be considered more competitive than the Brazilian one, but it's still debatable. The problem with the Brazilian league compared to the European ones is the quality. The quality is lower, so that is a problem for Neymar. There's nothing definitive yet, but I do think Neymar will go to Santos as a loan for the next 6 months, the length of his contract, and afterwards it's likely for him to stay in Santos or even move to other Brazilian teams. He has shown interest on playing for Flamengo, which is a team that has a lot more prepared than Santos. Now, on this channel, I don't talk normally about the Brazilian league. It's something that I would like to do more, but so far I've been focusing mainly on European leagues. But I will entertain you guys for a little bit about it. I don't think Santos is the best Brazilian team for Neymar to go to. I think that he needs preparation. I think he needs environment that will support him. And even though he has a great emotional attachment to Santos, Santos just came back from the second division. They are in the middle of a reformulation of their roster. So I think it would be good for Neymar to go to a team that has a better planning. Now, I would love to have him on my team, but I wouldn't put my team in that shelf, the shelf of teams that are able to hire Neymar, that has a planning in case of his hiring doesn't work out. Because the truth is, even though Neymar is not playing for European, he still has the price tag of a European player. He's a very expensive player with high salaries, and the truth is that we don't know how well he's going to perform if he comes. So for a team to hire him, they have to have a plan B and C in case Neymar gets hurt and cannot play. But that's it for this video. Let me know what you think about Neymar. Let me know what you think. Where would you like to see Neymar playing? If you like to see Neymar. And let me know if you like this style of video. It's the first video that I dedicated to talk about a news specifically instead of a match. So I would like to hear your opinion. What do you thought about this video? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.